Dude, how about it? Tyrann Mathieu. Something that, like, it's like it doesn't feel quite real, but something that you've dreamed about for years. Your favorite football player. Like, look, chances are a lot of y'all. Now I know the Saints can unite a lot of college fan bases, but chances are a lot of you listening to this show, especially, are LSU fans and Saints fans. That means chances are Tyrann Mathieu is probably one of your two favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
That you've ever watched play football.
He's top 5 regardless.
And now you are getting him on your favorite NFL franchise in a year where, don't look now, boys, the Saints could be pretty good. I mean, this is coming together a little bit here, fellas. Like, if Olave pans out, you're telling me that a receiving core headed by Olave and Mike Thomas, and who knows, maybe a Jarvis Landry gets in the mix. But, like, look at the chemistry that Deontay Hardy and Jameis Winston had last year. What did they have, like 3 70-yard bombs?
Put some respect on Callaway's name,
in 7 games?
please.
And we got Marquez Callaway now, who could be a legit 3. Thank you. I knew I was
Mario
missing one.
should be his agent.
You should be his agent, but he's right. But he's right for once. Mark's right.
Even though he lost the bet, he's right.
Okay, we were pretty good at our 750 overall.
It was right there.
If
yeah.
Jameis doesn't get hurt, we win that bet.
All I said was didn't win the bet. I didn't say how close he was, how far away he was
I'm just saying you were
said
kind
we
of
lost
flexing
the
a
bet.
little bit. You bet against Moscona. Now you're feeling all fat and cocky, trying to bring up this bet as well. I can't believe that we actually kept track of that bet for the entire football season. I'm proud of us.
You're right.
Not many shows were focused on will Marquez Callaway get over 750 yards receiving
We were.
week in and week out. But that's the point, is that, yes, so now you have what appears to be like a good receiving core.
Yep.
You have 2 players in Mike Thomas and Jameis Winston that, if reports to be believed, are in lockstep in terms of both trying to bring back their career, right? Like, Mike Thomas wants that $30 million bag. Christian Kirk is making as much as Mike Thomas now. He wants to prove that he is worth more and deserves more. Jameis Winston wants to prove that he is a true franchise quarterback, number 1 overall pick. And now you have this already spectacular Saints defense, which DeMario Davis, Cam Jordan, it's like, how could you possibly get better leadership than those 2 guys right there? And then you get Tyrann Mathieu, one of the all-time, I mean, I know he's an NFL all-decade member for his play on the field. He's an NFL Hall of Famer for his off the field, for his character, for his leadership. It's just unreal that it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's a big day, man. This is a big day for a lot of people and a big day for the franchise. I think he still has a lot of good football left in him. We were talking here in the break. I mean, All-Pro just a couple seasons ago, played well last year, still has a lot left in the tank to help on the field, but even what he can bring off the field. You're talking about a team that has a lot of core leadership, right? Yeah. And when you look at it and you want to say, oh, okay, well, they've also had their problems. The Michael Thomas, can he stay happy? Can he do this? Can he do that? I'm just telling you, when you have this type of core leadership right there, it can fix a lot of issues that you have within your team. Now, are most of those leaders on defense? They are, but that doesn't matter. There's some voices that it doesn't matter if you're an offensive guy, if you're a defensive guy. When they speak to the team, everyone listens.
Yep.
I've been in too many NFL locker rooms where a defensive guy would get up in front of the team. He talked to the whole team, and you didn't think, oh, well, I'm an offensive guy. I don't have to listen to him. That's not the case, man. And now you add another guy like that in Tyrann. I love the move. And I'm looking at the Saints depth chart right now. I know we could go over, like, actual depth at some positions, but when you look at their starting 22.
That's it right there.
And really not even starting 22. You could expand that to the 25 that are basically starters, because obviously, like, C.D. Deuce being the nickel, like he's a starter, even though he might not be on this depth chart here. It's a solid 25 that you're going to roll out there. Is there positions that you still have questions about? A couple. But as a group?
Bro, so I agree completely. And this picture that Danny has up right now, that's the pick. It's Tyrann Mathieu, C.D. Deuce, and Marshawn Lattimore. It's the picture that C.D. Deuce tweeted all those weeks ago, right? Like, probably about 2 months ago. Are you showing goosebumps on your arm right now, Mario? What are you doing here? Oh, no, never mind. You're showing a picture, Danny. Probably a thirst trap.
No, it's a picture of Tyrann Mathieu.
Oh, okay,
and
there we go.
Underneath the caption, I'll put tomamos lo que queremos, which means we take what we want in Spanish.
Hell yes, dude. Tomamos lo queremos. I don't know. I'm sorry. I tried, Mario.
God bless you.
Shout out, though. So I love, dude, C.D. Deuce and Tyrann Mathieu in the same backfield. And look, Marshawn Lattimore is actually the headliner there, as you're talking about a guy that's a top 5 cornerback in the entire league. But What I'm talking about from a personality standpoint, right? Like who in the NFL has emulated the kind of underdog, punching up, making plays that Tyrann Mathieu, like who has done that more than CD Deuce? And now you throw both of them, the guy that he grew up watching and emulating, you put him in the backfield with him, like, let's go, dude. This secondary is going to be spectacular. And to your point, Jake, everything looks really good, actually. You got a couple question marks, but on the NFL, team scale relative to other franchises, you're really figured out. But it does all come down to Jameis.
It does.
It seems like Jameis you are going to go as far now as Jameis Winston can take you. And remember, this is the same Jameis Winston that was second in the NFL and EPA, one of the single most important analytics when it comes to the impact, the positive impact that you are having on the game. So if you are a Saints fan today, I believe there is a ton of reason for excitement. Like, this is a Saints team that now, I wasn't here until the Tyrann signing and the draft. Now, I believe that this is a playoff team. Before, I felt like they were a borderline playoff team. I feel like it would now be a disappointment were they not to make the playoffs.
I completely agree with you. They were right on the doorstep a year ago, and that was with playing the janitors basically at quarterback by the end of the year because they had so many guys get hurt and you're trying to piece it together. This team, to me, has had a fantastic offseason, right? You don't lose a ton. What you have gained a ton. You got better at the positions you had to get better at. Like, to tell you kind of where I have this team, the positions I'm looking at where they need to get better are positions like tight end. And they still have guys like Troutman. Taysom, we don't know what that's going to look like. And you have Nick Vannett. So you still have guys that maybe can give you some value there. So it's not like it's a position that's at the basement. And then defensive tackle, again, like you've got some guys that we've seen do it in the past. You'd like to see maybe a player or two here or there. But if we're talking tight end and defensive tackle being the positions, I think you're okay. I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have massive jumps from guys like Pete Warner. Excited about where his career goes. Obviously, you have DeMario Davis. So even in the linebacker room where you still have some growth to do, Zach Bond, can he grow? You got DeMarco Jackson, who I love in this draft. Man, today feels like a good day if you're a Saints fan.
Am I crazy? David Onyemata's still in the Saints.
He is,
right?
yeah.
As well. Okay.
Yeah, you got Shot Tuttle, Onyemata, Malcolm Roach. So you still have guys there.
Yeah, you need more depth. You need more depth.
You want maybe one or two more guys in that position.
You think this Air Force guy can factor in?
Seventh round is going to be difficult, and especially when you have vets like that ahead of you. But let's also remember they did use Peyton Turner at times as an inside guy.
Yeah,
right. They can be creative. They can be creative because you do have three really good edge rushers that you feel good about. You can maybe slide one of those guys down as well. At times, I'm not saying you don't live there.
Stay healthy. If Davenport can stay healthy, man. Him and Peyton Turner, for that matter. Huge potential guys. Just need to fall through more. Okay, as we go to break here, remember this. Tyrann Mathieu in 2020, a unanimous, not just getting on one, but getting on multiple first-team all-pro teams. And then last year, a Pro Bowler. How about that? How about Orlovsky's list right here, dude?
Yeah, they had the news of Tyrann on ESPN, and Dan Orlovsky now has the Saints as his third best team in the NFC. I got to tell you what people think about that move for the Saints.
Ahead of the Eagles, ahead of the Packers, and behind and maybe why Orlovsky's opinion matters more than most is the amount of quarterback film that guy watches. And he's been on a bit of a heater in terms of calling things and being validated. He told you about Matt Stafford all year long.
And Burrow,
right?
Those
he told
two guys, yeah.
And so if he's giving them third best team in the NFC, what does that tell you about what he thinks about Jameis Winston? Thinks he's capable of it. Now we can finally celebrate, and we'll get some details about how it all went down. Nick, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us last minute here.
I feel like I need to raise my energy level like 10 notches just being on the show with you today. So you're bringing it. So I'm going to try to match your intensity here.
Look, all we need from you is hard information. Okay, that's what we need. Just cold.
Yep.
We need some. You know, we need some Curse Light cold hard facts. Not an actual segment.
That needs to be a segment.
But it was. Remember back in the day, like SportsCenter growing up? I'll never forget that. They used to do the cold hard facts.
We'll recycle it. It's fine.
Sorry, Nick, if you have a beer sponsor. That's our beer sponsor. Way the road. You know, we're all in this game together. Hey, Nick. So I mean, how did you learn about this? When did it look like this was like? What's the earliest that you were like, okay, there might actually be something here? Because I know a couple of weeks ago it had maybe cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, so Wednesday night was the first time I heard about it. I got a text, just, with the honey and the badger emoji. I was like, oh, all right, what's going on? So it started to come together then. But, I mean, this is something that the door's been open the whole time on this. When he first went there and visited, it wasn't necessarily going there to sign. He was in town. The Saints needed a safety. They came together. He went to the facility. He toured it. He met with Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, the co-DCs. They gave him some gear for his kids, and he left, and everybody felt good about how it went, but it didn't necessarily look imminent at the time because they needed, he wanted more money, and they weren't quite there yet. And this wasn't, they went through the draft and they didn't get a safety, so now they're going to Tyrann. They went through the draft with the idea of, okay, what if Tyrann's part of this team? What do we do around him? So this is something that I think how the draft went, and look, I think it's a great signing for the team. I think he's kind of perfect for what they want to do. Dennis Allen's talked this whole offseason about wanting interchangeable safeties, one guy that can play deep, one guy that can go down, and then they switch the next snap. And you never really know which one's going to be doing which thing. And last year, Tyrann played more snaps at free safety than he ever has in his career. Now, granted, he's kind of known for covering the slot and being in the box, but he can play those deep areas of the field. And I think he was actually better at it last year than he was at the other stuff. So aspect of his game that can get highlighted a little bit more, and then just put him with Marcus May. Marcus May is somebody that can go down, blitz, play in the box, do all this different stuff, play deep. So I think it's just going to add to that element of disguise that DA is really known for. And, in those games where you see Tom Brady looking confused, I mean, adding another guy like this, I think heightens that and allows them to do even more, since the Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams were defined. You knew which one was coming down. You knew which one was going deep. And now I think when you look back there, you aren't going to be quite as sure.
I mean, Nick, this is a room that we thought, man, they got some question marks. They got to figure some things out going into the offseason. And you bring in May, you bring in Honey Badger. I mean, Adebo, what he was able to do a year ago, you get Alontae Taylor in the draft. I mean, it went from a weakness to a strength really quick. And the front office, I think, did a hell of a job of putting these versatile pieces together.
Man, it's been a slow burn. Like for a while there, it was looking like, what are they doing? How are they playing this offseason? Are they still in it? Are they a team that's still trying to compete? And then, all of a sudden they make the trade with Philadelphia, and it's been pedal to the metal the whole way. I mean, granted, before that, there were a lot of moves that they tried to make that didn't end up happening. So the mentality's always been there, but it just kind of felt like they were striking out. And you're right. Now the secondary, you got a bunch of guys that can they've talked about the positionless football thing in the back end for a while, and now they got a lot of guys that can do that stuff. May, Honey Badger can do all kinds of different stuff. You mentioned Alontae Taylor. I watched him last night. Every snap he played last year.
Of course he did. every snap, every single snap.
Every snap. But look, I mean, honestly, I watch him. I see a safety more than I see a cornerback. But I mean, I see cornerback skills that can be caught up, but he looks like somebody that's just much better crashing down on plays. But I think eventually he can be somebody that can do all kinds of different stuff. And if they bring him along at outside corner initially, that doesn't mean they can't add to his plate later on and kind of make him a little bit more of a versatile piece. But yeah, the secondary now is a major strength of this team. And it looked like they were going to have the good front nine, I guess, and the back two were going to be a little bit weaker. And, I don't know if they'll be better back there, but I think they're definitely going to be significantly more dynamic with Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu.
Well, and it's interesting here. I'll get to this question in a second. First, Nick, what's funny to me is when you look at C.D. Deuce, right, and the kind of energy and aggression that he plays with, and his size and his stature for the game that he plays, and all these other things, like you could not help, especially if you're an LSU fan, you could not help but be reminded of Tyrann Mathieu in college, and now you add the Tyrann Mathieu to that mix. I mean, how excited do you think CD and Honey Badger are to get to play together? Or, I mean, do you agree? Do you feel like those two emulate each other in terms of just their kind of attitude and approach?
Yeah, without question, I think they do. They're going to have a couple guys that are kind of, agitating, fiery, just get everybody fired up. And they feed off that. That's the identity that they have kind of built for that defense. So to have more people that can spark that fire and bring it. And Quan Alexander was another guy that was kind of fit into that too, just bringing that energy and that intensity. Look, the thing I like about Honey Badger too is even when he was younger, they had that the Amazon show with the Cardinals, and he was on there, and you kind of saw behind the scenes, and look, I think everybody knows that this guy's a 10 out of 10 human being, and just great guy, all that stuff. But like seeing him in that situation where he was just his leadership and how guys fed off him and they kind of gravitated to him. And I think just having that leadership in the post Drew Brees, post Tyrann Armstead era, I mean, I think he's a significant leader that they need on that team. And he's somebody that some of those young guys are going to gravitate toward. And if you're bringing in Alontae Taylor in the second round, I think having Tyrann on the team is a significant asset to someone like him, plus an Adebo. Just all those guys, just to kind of set a tone and have more of that leadership. So, on the field, I think he's going to spark that, be one of the ignition pieces for him. And behind the scenes, I think he's just going to be a tremendous asset.
Yeah, and again, you're getting a guy that 2 years ago, first team All-Pro, Pro Bowler last year, so it's not like this is someone, it's not like this is just a name. It's somebody who has been objectively playing well. What about this, Nick? Now the whole picture starts to come together, and it's interesting how much things can kind of change in the matter of a couple of weeks. You get Olave and Penning, right? So you fill those immediate holes with guys that you expect to be starters out of the gate. You signed Tyrann. Orlovsky on Get Up this morning has the Saints as the third best team in the NFC now. And it's funny because everything now appears to hinge on Jameis, right? Moving up to get a second first-round pick this year, fill those immediate needs, sign Tyrann. Like, it feels like now this team will go as far as the recent graduate Jameis Winston can go.
No excuses. I mean, going forward, I mean, he's got all the pieces. If Mike Thomas, I'll have one more if Mike Thomas comes back and he's 75% of what he used to be, and I think he will be plus more, I don't think there's any excuses because, you got Olave, what was it, 11th pick in the draft, Michael Thomas. Those are enviable pieces, two guys that are theoretically supposed to be number one options for any team, really. I mean, you draft somebody at 11, and you're expecting that guy to be a significant difference maker. And I do have, some doubts about Penning, how quickly he's going to be ready. I think there's a lot of work to do there to kind of get him up to speed and be fully ready to play. It's going to happen at some point. He's a great athlete, does a lot of things well, but I think he's tremendously raw, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But, having Doug Marrone, I think, makes him a good piece, a good decision for them, and somebody that's worth developing. But I think there's some development that needs to be put there. But, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Jameis is going to be the guy that kind of carries them how far they go. And if he can be the person he was last year as far as avoiding mistakes and making the right decisions, I think it's going to be a lot easier for him. And the offense should be able to keep up pace with the defense, and they should be a good team. But if there's any regression there, and I think he's going to have to be more aggressive than he was last year, too. I think at times he was tentative, and understandably so. You're throwing to Kenny Stills, I'm going to be a little hesitant too, after you see 3 or 4 passes get dropped and him not being in the right places and all that. But if Olave and Mike are doing the right things, you got to let that thing rip, and you got to trust what you're seeing. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of where his vision and decision making really is, because I think those dots are going to have to be made a lot quicker, and we're going to actually see. Whereas last year, it wasn't really the throws that he was making. It was the throws he wasn't making. And when you went through and watched the games, I mean, there were a lot of plays where there was somebody open and the ball wasn't going there. And, again, I understand a lot of the decisions he made when you're looking at who he's throwing to, but those excuses are gone. So it's going to be just pure, what are you doing? Is the ball getting there? Are you making the right decisions? Is it coming out fast? All this stuff. And you're right. It's going to be a lot more dependent on him this year. So everything's there. It's just the quarterback has to play up the standard and make sure he's not making those mistakes.
So it's a receiving core that with the addition of Olave, you start to kind of nod your head and say, okay, right, because you had Thomas, Olave, Marquez Callaway, we've always said, if he's like your 3, that's great. I mean, I feel like Deontay Hardy and Jameis last year hit on deep balls at a very impressive rate, considering Hardy's skill set and whatnot. And so where do you stand with Jarvis Landry? Nick, I know there was some smoke before the draft that could potentially be coming down the road as well. Does this Tyrann Mathieu signing mean that Jarvis Landry will not be signing?
So, I honestly don't know. I mean, I think there's room for him still. You look at the depth chart. I think you could add one more guy, and there's definitely a place for him. I think Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith are fine number 3 options, but adding Jarvis Landry to that mix, I mean, man, that's an insane receiver room. And you got 2 guys on that can kind of attack the lower area of the field with him and Mike Thomas, and then Olave's intermediate and deep, taking the top off. Deontay Hardy's out there kind of, the dressing on top. I mean, it would be a really impressive receiver room for that group. I know his meeting went really well. Wasn't the hang up though, where if they wanted to sign him, they needed to wait until after 3 p.m. today. And by the way, I don't think the Tyrann deal is going to be like officially signed and inked until a little bit later this week, but it is going to get done. But the Jarvis situation didn't have the same hang-ups. They could have signed him right then in the room because he was released. So it wouldn't have counted against that comp pick formula, which teams get picks the next year in the draft based on if they lost more value in free agency than they brought in. So he wouldn't have counted against that because he was a released player. So if they want to do that, they could do it. But they do have they have $20 million in cap space. It's probably going to take 3 or 4 to sign the rookie class. I would expect Tyrann to take $9.5 million, probably signing bonus. So maybe a $10-11 million cap hit. So I mean, there's room there for them, and they'd spread out that cap hit by throwing void years on there. So that number is going to be even lower. But they could add Jarvis very easily. They have the cap space to do it if they want him on the team. I don't really see the hiccup to getting it done. I know Cleveland was still involved there, which is kind of a weird situation since they're the team that released him. But, they got the new quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, I think it would make a lot of sense to still add him to the team if they want to be, and everything they're doing is telling us they want to be a contender. They think they're a contender. They got all the pieces to do it. I don't see why you'd take your foot off the gas now if you have the ability to add this, one last piece and kind of really have everything in place to go for it.
I mean, let's friggin' ride, dude. The Venn diagram between Elster and Saints fans a lot of times can almost appear like a circle, and all of those people within that circle, all their dreams just came true. The prodigal son returns home to New Orleans where it all started. Now he's going to finish the fight. Nick Underhill, NewOrleans.football. Like I said, Nick was on this way ahead of anyone. NewOrleans.football. Sign up for the site today. It's so worth it. It supports Nick's work directly. Nick, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And the site's going to be popping off over the next couple of days. We'll have Nick on again tomorrow because I'm sure some more news will break. And we didn't even really break down the draft with Nick.